What's going on, guys? You notice here I've got 2 chairs, and it's because today I have to do something that I wouldn't normally do on video. I have to actually be a military officer today. And that is because I need somebody to get in here and explain what you did. Explain what you did. Tell the audience what you did.
I broke the U.S. Army.
You broke the damn Army.
I mean, I didn't mean to break the Army. It was, now if I'm honest, I kind of meant to break the Army.
This is AJ, and AJ played what is likely the biggest prank in military history anywhere in the military.
Yeah, so we're in Kuwait and we got stuck in a sandstorm, so we couldn't go anywhere. And we were bored, like you are in Kuwait. And we started deciding, you know what, let's start a rumor, just because. And so then it became, well, what rumor are we gonna start? Everybody, if you've spent any time in the Army, has heard the phrase over and over and over, battle buddy. Hey, battle, I'm going to the gym, you wanna come with? Hey, make sure you got a battle buddy if you go into town. All that stupid BS. So we're like, you know what? We're gonna say that the Army is doing away with battle buddy and replacing it with the phrase warrior companion.
And it's funny, before you get more into the story, like, it makes rounds regularly. That it wasn't that long ago, probably 6 or 7 years ago, that this made rounds again, and people were saying we were going from battle buddy to warrior companion.
Yeah, so it was, at the time, I was on a PSD team, and it was me and another squad leader. What we decided to start doing was we would go to different places around the base and get into arguments. And we would go to the DFAC, or we would go to the library, or we would go to the gym, and I'd be like, dude, I don't care what the hell First Sergeant says. I'm not calling you my warrior companion. That's the dumbest thing. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not calling you a warrior companion. And he'd be like, well, but you heard about it. I'm like, yeah, I know the order came out. I'm not gonna do it. And sure enough, every time after about 2 minutes of arguing, somebody would show up. What are you guys arguing about? Dude, there's some directive came down from the U.S. Army G1, said you can't say battle buddy anymore. It's got to be warrior companion because it's part of the more inclusive Army. And so they would start getting riled up. Dude, warrior, I'm not calling somebody a warrior companion. I'm like, I know, neither am I. And we knew we were starting to get some traction when by about the 2nd or 3rd day, we were in the dining facility and these 2 lieutenants walked by and one of them turned to his buddy and said, hey, remember, if you go to the gym later, make sure you have a warrior companion. And I almost snorted mashed potatoes up my nose when I heard that. I knew it may have gotten a little bit far when we were getting ready to go to the U.S. Embassy, and the general I was working for turned to the 4-star in charge of U.S. Forces Iraq, and the 4-star turned to the general and said, make sure you have a warrior companion for your trip to the embassy tonight. And I was like, oh, what have I done? So then I got bored again because at the time the general I worked for was on leave. Mm-hmm. And you know, you leave an NCO unsupervised without anything constructive to do and things get dangerous. For those of you who know the military, you know that there's 2 main networks. There's NIPR and SIPR. So that's unsecured, regular internet, and then, you know, secret type stuff. Well, if you send a fax over a, just regular fax machine over the SIPR network, it asks you for the name, email address, and phone number of the person sending it, but it doesn't validate it. And so you can send a fax message to a number of people and make up a name and make up a phone number and make up an email address, and it doesn't validate it in any way. And it shows up in their secret email as a fax from that person. I sat down and I typed the full, what they call an ALARACT, an All Army Actions message.
An ALARACT is a formal order, basically, and it tells some element what to do. The ALARACTs are like big Army stuff. The entire Army has to do whatever is in an ALARACT.
And so I typed an ALARACT that went to the entire U.S. Army, and I sent it to everybody who I knew had a SIPR email, and then it spread.
Video's not over, but if you want to support me further, you can head over to themandatoryfunday.com. We've got shirts, we've got hats, coffee mugs, everything you could ever want. Literally everything, other than the approval of your father. On the website, you can become a member, and then you get 20% off merch and access to exclusive content that you will only see there. We also have a link for regulation compliant shirts that you can wear in uniform. Let's get back to the video.
I think it was the 3rd day, I got an email from a buddy I knew who was at Drum at the time, who said that their CG had put it out in formation. God. You couldn't say battle buddy anymore, that it had to now be warrior companion. And that was the point that I was like, maybe I took this a little bit too far. This kind of got a little bit out of control.
So let's back up just a hair. how, like, okay, so you were working for the Sergeant Major of the Army.
No. I was working at that time. I was working for the Deputy CG for U.S. Forces Iraq.
Okay, and then, but you had access to the Sergeant Major of the Army's fax, no?
No. So here's the thing. Like I said, it didn't matter what you put in. It didn't validate who it came from. So I made up a fake sergeant major who worked in the U.S. Army G1, which because the G1 is where orders come from.
Yeah.
So I made up a sergeant major, Jeff Oke, J-O-K-E. And I actually went on to if you know where to look, you can find a directory of all Pentagon phone numbers, assigned and unassigned. And so I found an unassigned phone number in the U.S. Army G1.
Oh,
and
God.
I put that down as the phone number. So if somebody dialed that number on the NIPR or SIPR network, it would show you were calling the U.S. Army G1.
Yeah.
And if you email an email address from an Army, a .mil address, it doesn't bounce back if there's no real email attached to that, because they don't want you to be able to figure out who has or doesn't have an email.
Yeah.
Anybody who tried calling that number, it just rang and rang and rang because there was no number connected to it, but it was a U.S. Army G1 number, so they just figured it was real. So I've got a bunch of buddies who do really fun, interesting, cool stuff. One of whom at the time was one of the retention NTOs for SOCOM, who said, "Holy have you seen this whole warrior companion thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of." He goes, "Yeah, it's so bad. We're hearing from Green Berets who are saying, if this is the way the Army is going, I don't want to be in the Army anymore."
Oh my God. You impacted special operations recruiting and retention.
And retention. Yeah, I negatively impacted special operations retention. It got so bad that they started getting letters to the editor at Stars and Stripes.
Oh my God.
They got so many letters. They created a job called the rumor doctor. Like, that's how bad this rumor got. That they created a job to battle the rumor. They hired a guy named Jeff Schogel, super nice guy, and tasked him to find out what was going on.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets stupid. This is the part that blows my mind. If you know the Army, this shouldn't really surprise you. They reached out to the Army and said, "Hey, we've seen this memo. Is this real?" And the Army, in their infinite wisdom, replied, "As far as we can tell, it's a hoax."
As far as we can tell.
What do you mean, as far as we can tell? You have the entire list of all ALARACTs you've sent out. You have the entire list of all soldiers in the Army. You should know there's no ALARACT that got sent out, and there's no Sergeant Major Jeff Oke.
But isn't it like, it's so classically military for one to put something out like this, and it's effectively PNN, the private news network on steroids. We call the private news network. Junior service members talk amongst each other, and they'll get ideas and they'll just run with it and extrapolate on it, and it's hysterical because they very rarely have accurate information, which is for sure an indictment on us as leaders. But isn't it also like so stereotypically military? Like, nobody wants to take ownership.
Oh yeah.
of it.
Oh no, that's 1,000%.
As far as we can tell, we don't think that this is the thing. It might, maybe, but probably not.
So I waited until the day I got out. I knew I was past the IRR window. They couldn't call me back on active duty to punish me for this. I called up Jeff Schogel. I'm like, "Hey, do you want to know the real story behind Warrior Companion?" He's like, "Hell yeah, I do." When I typed up the Warrior Companion ALARACT, I took photos of me typing up the ALARACT. And so I sent him those photos, and I sent him a copy of the original ALARACT that I typed up and sent them to him. It made front page of Stars and Stripes.
Oh my God.
And became the most read story on starsandstripes.com for the entire year.
Oh my God. I would say it's unbelievable, but it's not. It's not unbelievable at all. And then like the fact that nobody like called up to question it, people just ran with it.
Yeah. I think for me, the real payoff for the whole thing, though, was a few years later. I was in D.C. for a fundraiser for a nonprofit I worked with at the time called Songwriting with Soldiers. And I bumped into the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the chief of staff of the Army. And General Odierno looks at me, and the first words out of his mouth are, "Where's your fucking warrior companion, Sergeant Merrifield?"
So everybody at this point knows that it was you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It was.
And like, for those of you that don't know, the Pentagon is a very tight-knit, like, once something gets around the Pentagon, everybody in the Department of Defense knows. Civilians, contract, like everybody, the service members, because it's just like, I mean, everybody knows everybody up there, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a massive, it's kind of weird. It's almost like the military is a subculture within the United States, and then the Pentagon has its own culture, you know, inside of the military. But yeah, it does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, that's the story of how I broke the Army.
That is hysterical. So you never faced any repercussions?
No. That sounds vaguely threatening. Like, I'm like waiting for a CID to come like popping out.
So this was truly just a spur of the moment thing. You wanted to start a rumor, and this is the rumor you chose to start.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that is hysterical. So did this impact like military schools?
Oh my God. So I have heard from so many guys who've gone to military schools. I know at least 6 different guys who've gone through OCS who've been told they can't say battle buddy, they have to say warrior companion.
Oh, that is hysterical. I love playing pranks, and pranks are just part of military culture. Like one of my favorite things to do is if I'm in a school and it's like a more academic oriented school, I love to walk up to people and just be like, hey, did you guys start the paper?
Oh,
and then
God.
people will be like, what paper? And then I'll be like, yeah, the paper, the 3-pager that we were supposed to, it's due tomorrow. And like if you're watching this and you've gone to a school with me, please corroborate what I'm saying. My OCS class was 160 people. And so anytime we would get a test back, or anytime we would complete something where people could fail potentially, I'd be like, yeah, I can't believe 17 people failed that test. And like,
dude, that's evil. Holy crap.
It'll get around. So what?
Wow.
So at OCS,
I thought I was bad. Like, damn, I just like screwed with retention. You're like ruining people's lives.
I mean, I'm a little evil. There's a little evil streak.
Well, you're an officer. Of course you're a little evil.
I mean, yeah, exactly. AJ is also the author of Bob on the Fob, which is a really, really prolific, famous comic series in basically, I mean, it's a staple in American military culture at this point.
You know, they actually had a U.S. Army cartoonists display at the Army War College.
No kidding.
And I was actually featured in that, which blows my mind. Like,
well, I mean, yeah, it took a lot of talent to do that stuff.
No, it didn't. I have zero talent, trust me. It's, I'm just a smartass is really what it comes down to. But it was like me, Doctrine Man. And by the way, shout out Steve Leonard. You're a legend. Like a bunch of other guys too. But yeah, to actually see my stuff on display in a museum was just like,
that's so cool.
What the hell, man? Like, what even is my life?
That is so funny.
If you've ever been called a FOBbit, yeah, you can blame me for that because I'm the one who came up with the word FOBbit. The driver that I had replaced was this lazy, didn't want to do anything, never wanted to leave the wire. Like it was like pulling teeth to get him to do anything. And so I started referring to him as a FOBbit because kind of like a hobbit, he was this short little thing that all he wanted to do was like stay at home in his dark little cave and like eat food and do nothing. And so one day I left a drawing on his desk of him and I titled it FOBbit.
Yeah.
Well, the CG saw it and some of the PAO folks saw it and they thought it was hilarious. And so they asked if they could publish it.
Oh my God.
And so that became Bob on the Fob. FOBbit was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came back and asked if I could do more. And so I started drawing more and more and more.
No kidding.
And then it started spreading throughout the rest of the Army. Like one of the ones I did was one called TOC-Roach, about that guy that always like goes into the TOC and steals all the coffee and the honey buns and stuff. And apparently that was pasted above the coffee maker outside the Joint Chiefs office at the Pentagon.
So Bob on the Fob's still going, as far as I know. It's got like a Facebook page, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's. I'll be honest though, I haven't done much with it in a while. I just don't have time.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue into like, what do you do now?
I'm actually the co-founder of a wealth management and financial education firm, and then just kind of living my civilian life now. It's kind of crazy.
When people find out, I'm sure the response to Bob on the Fob is overwhelmingly positive, right? And then what about the prank? Like when people find out, are people mostly, do they just think it's funny, or have you had people give you like crap about it?
I don't think I've had anybody give me crap about that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's legit. I could see, and it is just funny. It's a funny, harmless prank.
When people still thought it was real, there was a lot of like angry letters and like if you look at some of the letters that got sent to Stars and Stripes and the U.S. Army as a whole, like I actually talked to a PAO guy from the Army. Like they were getting letters, like super angry stuff.
Oh my God.
But as far as like me for the pranks, I have yet to hear like anything negative about it. Everybody thought that was hilarious.
Oh my God, that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me, man.
This is AJ Merriweather, the culprit.
Merrifield.
Merrifield.
Shit,
I'm so sorry.
I mean, officers.
This is AJ Merrifield. He is the culprit behind the greatest prank ever played in military history and the author of Bob on the Fob.
Thanks for having me, Aston.
My last name is Von Letkeman. So like nobody's ever said it right, okay? I don't have that much sympathy for people. We will see you guys next time.